Hello and welcome to Tuesday Night Edits. Me, Andy Gray. We'll be having a fab Tuesday evening. The nights are certainly cutting in now. It's well, from this position, it's pretty much pretty dark out there. Beautiful looking sunset just before. Hope you were out there shooting it. Evening, Andrew. Evening, Alan. Good to have you here so bright and early. And if you'll notice, I was nearly on time. Never been on time in my life for anything. Never mind live streams. Tonight is, I was going to say it's going to be a different type of thing. Normally I come on here, give you a little bit of news, mention one or two things in the camera or photography world, or certainly stuff that impacts on the abstract kind of stuff that I do. Evening, Paul. Well, that was very silly of you, Andrew. You shouldn't really go to the gym. Look at the fine specimen that I am. Do you see me go anywhere near a gym? No. It's bad for you. So yeah, as I would before I got distracted, I'll usually, give you a brief intro, that kind of thing. Maybe mention a few things that's going on, and then crack on with some editing. Tonight, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story, maybe. A story with a happy ending, though, but caused a couple of people in this world a bit of stress. Well, certainly it caused me a little bit of stress. It might cause somebody else. I don't know about stress, but there could have been cost implications. But anyways, it's all been resolved in the end, and it's all wonderful. And I've ended up with some fantastic looking products. So anyways, as the screen at the front might have told you, and the description below, does anybody read descriptions? I'm not even sure. This last week or so, I had some printing issues. As I only own a printer that does A3 prints, I have to outsource, and outsourcing goes to various places, various companies. But for a change, I thought I would use a friend, a very good friend of mine. It has a nice, big, huge printer, all lovely jubbly, and I thought, great, your personal service and all that kind of stuff. It'll be fantastic. Hope, fingers crossed, that you might even be cheaper than the big commercial printers such as the Print Space down in London, and there's other independent printers out there as well at the moment. People like Doug Chinnery, Valder Bailey are doing like a joint thing where they're doing printing stuff. You've got Andy Farrer down on the south coast. Evening, Ian. And so there's loads and loads of printers out there, and I outsource all my bigger stuff. And as I had a print order come in for a couple of A2s, I thought, well, straight away, can't do them, so right, we'll consider who to use and who to give a chance to. So I was keen to use this person. This person is going to remain anonymous for the time being, anyway. But I've certainly put them through. I feel like I've been really horrible and put them through the ringer this week. Well, not really horrible, but I can be a bit awkward with colour and stuff like that. So, and everybody does all these things correctly. I'm not going to use anybody that's amateurish or anything like that. We all, if you come here and you are obviously keen photographers if you come here and watch, and you'll know the whole rigmarole about colour profiling, monitors, printers, even cameras in some cases. So we all work with colour, a colour, like maintaining a proper colour scheme throughout, from screen to print and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I would talk you through what kind of went down, and how hard we had to work to resolve it, and it was eye-opening, to be honest. because we all think we use really good equipment, really high-end stuff, expensive gear, expensive printers, expensive computers, expensive cameras to start with, and what you think is a cracking piece of machinery can turn out to be brilliant 99% of the time, or even 99.9% of the time. But when that 0.1% of the time goes wrong, it can cause a problem. So what basically happened is I had this image ordered, a fairly scenic abstract landscape, as I call them. It's an image of the River Allen with Anna Castle kind of on the horizon there, and this was ordered by a client along with another image. And yeah, at times a lot of my work causes myself a lot of issues when printing, usually due down to that I use a lot of darks and a lot of intense reds, and they're pretty tricky to print. So this one, not a problem. It's pretty green. So as you'll see, that's pretty damn green there. There's a hint of an orange cast in it as well. But I thought this will be no problem whatsoever. Quick configure with the profiles that I've been supplied with, that was customized to their printer. Absolutely fantastic. Not a problem. No gamut issues like there usually is on my printer. Nothing grayed out. Everything was fine. Everything was normal. All right, fired them across. Stuck them in a Dropbox folder. Fired them across. Full res TIFFs, and sent them off and basically waited for them to arrive. So initially they made contact and said they'd had to abort a couple of prints because they were so green, which is fine because obviously sometimes I know how awkward my colours can be, so that wasn't really an issue no, I'm saying it wasn't an issue. It wasn't I wasn't surprised by that. So they said that it would come out like a horrible mucky green. So okay, and then right, okay, well just adjust it to. So I said just adjust it to what your monitor shows. And right, fine. A day later, said right, got it all printed up and all dispatched, all beautifully and securely packaged in a nice wide roll, really solid roll tube. Sorry. Beautifully wrapped in tissue paper, securely taped together. There was going to be no damage whatsoever, so I was really excited to open all that. And when I opened it up, my heart just sank because it was nowhere near what the original what was meant to be. What actually came back was something extremely, very, very orange. And I should show you here, if you can see this. Hope you all can see that. If you're in the chat, hopefully you're seeing these screens. As you can see, the large print at the back is the one that I received, and the print at the front is my proof print that I printed at home on my own printer, and that's the kind of the proof that I work off. So the one at the front is how it's meant to be. And I got this one at the back, and it was a little way off on its colour, is one way to describe it. So, the guy that printed it, being a good mate, said, if there's anything wrong with them, just don't be scared to say. I'm like, yeah, no, it'll be fine, trust you, not a problem. They'll be good, they'll be grand. I'll love them, no bother. So when I did open them, I was like, right. So I messaged my mate back and kind of said, you said, can I, don't be scared. So I was like, yeah, it's they're way off. Showed him that that photograph of them, and obviously you can't go off color on a phone pic because white balance on phones are terrible. But anyways, you get the gist that it was very, very different. Uh, so there was a good half of day of head scratching, and not really sure what was going on. So doing more test prints, and they were all said the taking pictures and then sending them to us, and they were still out, and doing adjustments. And I think this is the right screen. And in the end, they showed me what a print that they'd done that was direct from my profiling compared to what their screen was showing. And that's at this point is where the penny dropped, is that the monitor, for whatever reason it was producing something that was much, much redder than what's intended and what the original was. So hopefully you can see that there's quite the difference there. Oops, wrong button. And this is a fully calibrated monitor, an experienced printer that's printed a lot of work for a lot of people, and it's and it was just still really don't know why, but obviously there's there's issues with my color and their monitor, and I think it's your fairly normal Apple Mac screen that they work off. I myself use a Dell screen, which is great. I've also, as a second monitor, got a Samsung monitor. It's a fairly cheap thing, but for both are calibrated. There is a noticeable difference between the two. And my mate's machine is fully calibrated, obviously. Print's calibrated, monitor's calibrated. So everything should be the same. But I know from my setup that there's definitely a difference between my Dell monitor and my Samsung one. So it's really just a case of be careful when you're printing out there, when you're outsourcing to these companies, that just because it shows up fine on yours doesn't mean that it's always going to show up fine on other people's. So just be careful. But one of the ways we did work through it was that my mate's fancy big printer has its own kind of contact sheet set up, so you could actually print the image with a load of variances in color, and it would actually print the whole range. And the way we got around all this was that over the phone again, taking a phone photograph, sending that through. So when it came through, I did a quick white balance alteration on it just to make sure that the white in the image was white, and basically made my selection and sent it back to him. Hence the red ring around that one, and made a couple of other pics either side of it just to be safe, to save on postage again. So when that came back, a few days later, I got a package with 3 A4s and the contact sheet as well, showing all three versions of the ones I'd picked, and then made my final selection based off those, and lo and behold, today postman arrived with 2 beautiful prints, magnificent little A2 of that shot, and an A2 of another shot, which wasn't causing as many issues, but there was a bit of a shift in tone. But that's all rectified. So basically, sometimes you haven't, if you're buying prints in from other print from print houses, don't be scared to get in touch with them if you're not happy with them. It's the only way you'll kind of get things back on track and get the work that you want. So it just shows that 99% of the time things will be bang on, and I imagine for normal traditional landscape photography, there's never going to be an issue. And really, I'm sure printing those kind of images are probably very, very easy in comparison. But I have had loads and loads of problems over the few years I've had my printer, just being really restricted on certain colours. I've actually got to the point where I've actually had to just scale back certain colours. So instead of being fully creative and fully, going where I want to go with an image, I've thought I'm going to have to print this at some stage, and therefore had to either abandon the image completely, or certainly scale back at the intensity of, say, a black or a deep red. Now if I bring up this, hold on, if I can see it, I've managed to hide the folder. Let's bring so I can see again. This image here, which I'm about to show, this one, this is an image where I just went full out on the processing. Didn't really care about how I was going to end up printing it. Obviously, something like this is not going to work on a matte paper. So this is always going to be on a fairly glossy, like a full-on photo paper, which is not ideal if you're looking to display it, because it's going to be behind glass and you're going to have a glossy finish on below it, so it's going to cause a few issues there. But this is one I am not looking forward to printing myself or giving it to anybody else to print, just purely because it is so dark and there's so much red there. To be honest, it'll probably drain my red tanks in my printer. But one day I'll be brave and press the print button. Probably after buying a full set of new inks. But yeah, so I just thought I would give you a brief rundown of that. Hopefully you've taken something away from that, is that just because you've got it all configured at your end and double checked your calibrations and things like that, just be mindful that it might not be bang on at the other end, and it may be just something to do with the way a certain monitor blends pixels together. That might be why it's come down to. Like I said, my mate's monitor was fully calibrated and recalibrated after making that print, fully recalibrated, and it was still displaying exactly the same. Going and looking at it, and anybody else's work was fine, but it seemed to be all my work, so I don't know what it is. Yeah, so all happily resolved in the end. I've got two wonderful prints behind us now, but it's taken a lot of back and forward to get it right, but we're there, and this isn't even anywhere near getting me, it's working towards the exhibition next year. If this is causing me headaches just now, God knows what I'll be like come this time next year, when I'm actually starting to put everything together and getting everything printed out. One good thing is, that river image is the first time I've needed to print it myself. It's been printed by others for commercial display, but it's the first time I've had to print it, and I thought it was going to be an easy one. and the other image that was done has been printed a few times, and that's usually come out pretty good most of the time. But yeah, it's been an interesting week or so. So yeah, just don't if you're working with print like outside printers, print houses, don't be scared to send it back or tell them if you're not entirely happy with it. Just make sure that everything's fine on your end, and it is something at their end. So yes, if you're not already calibrating your monitors, for God's sake, do it. It will really open your eyes on how some of these monitors look if you're going from something that's uncalibrated to calibrated. So you can pick up. I mean, I've got an old. I'll just go back to the screen. An old. What was it? What was it? Spider 3 from Data Color. I've had that years and years and years. Well, probably since it came out anyway. It's done me grand. After the problems of the last week or so, I was a bit scaredy. I was thinking, Christ, I'm going to have to pay another 120 quid to get the newest version to make sure everything's fine. But lo and behold, it was another issue altogether. So yeah, always color profile. Get your monitors calibrated. Learn how to profile prints correctly. There's loads of tutorials out there. If you can get near a print workshop, PhotoSpeed run them. Doug Chenery does them. There's plenty of people out there that'll do. Andy Farrer does them down on the south coast, or wherever he's based. I think Rachel Talabot was involved with some as well. Might be through PhotoSpeed, but yeah, do get on to. I think it'd be really worth doing a printing workshop, or certainly do a printing 1-to-1 with, say, Doug or something like that, somebody like that, just to get these things nailed down, because they can be bloody tricky. Hi, Stephen. Right. I do all my printing from Photoshop, Edward. I'm not sure what the printer uses, but I give the TIFF, and I'm not sure what. Well, it was configured to their printer profile, so beyond that color space. And I also later on supplied the original TIFF as well, that hadn't been configured for the paper. So I had two versions to work from, but we've got there in the end. But yeah, it was the monitor thing. And it seems to be happening with all my images. So there we go. Right. What else is there at the minute? A friend of mine messaged me a good few weeks ago now. He at some fancy corporate dinner thing. He'd been sitting next to the MD or CEO of Pickfair. I think it was Pickfair is the. I'll do some research now. Bear with me. Make sure I've got the right one. Yes, Pickfair. Who have today launched. I think today launched kind of a new product. This is not a sponsored thing or a recommendation or anything. Just mentioning it because my mate messages this morning because he'd seen an article on TechCrunch and said this is the bit thing I was on about. So Pickfair, or stock photography stuff, so, Shutterstock and Alamy and that kind of thing, Getty. But for some, their kind of tagline is that they pay photographers a fairer rate. And they are now offering like your own kind of separate site type of thing. So like the back end of a website builder, like your Wix or Squarespace, and built in is you can license it, like a personal license and an advertising, commercial license, advertising license, and you can also sell prints through them. Hi Charlotte. good to have you here. Good to see you. So if you look at any of the tech kind of sites today, there's probably articles on it today. Maybe it's worth checking out if you're into selling prints and licenses. I myself can't see them being have any interest in my work with it not really being photography. So, but if you're shooting normal stuff, I'm looking for another avenue. Maybe it's worth checking out. I don't know. I'm not recommending them or anything. It was just something I'd heard on the grapevine with my contacts in the south and in the city and all that kind of, these highbrow, mega rich people and not me, most skinned person in the world. So, that is probably all the newsy type of stuff. I'm not going to get into any camera debates or new stuff because there seem to be loads and loads of stuff coming out. Photo Kinas this week, I think, so there's loads of new stuff coming, even though last week wasn't enough with all the Canon and Nikon and Fuji and all that kind of stuff. One day I might start talking tech about and cameras and stuff, but seeing as I've never got two pennies to rub together, then my 10-year-old D700 will have to continue to do. So the other thing is I started on my 1-to-1 season this past weekend, first one of the autumn, late summer, whatever it is. The very, very canny Paul joined me for a day. Hopefully learned a hell of a lot out in the field, and more 1-to-1 kind of tips on the processing. So it was good to get the 1-to-1s underway. I haven't really got much time weekends during October, but I'll have plenty of space during the week if you're interested in any of them. If you fancy coming up to Northumberland and joining me for a day out, where we can talk photography. I'll show you how to do my brand of ICM and all this kind of stuff, and divulge various tips and tricks that I use, which I haven't got around to making videos about and stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that, just drop us a line. That'll be good. And on the 1-to-1, I know people say this about other YouTubey kind of people, landscape photographers, and criticise them because they make videos on their workshops and stuff like that, and but they're making their own images instead of looking after the clients. Because of what I do, I kind of have to demonstrate how it's done and the movements I'm making and the subject matter I'm looking at and how I'm using other stuff in the image to create the image during the movement of the camera. So at the end of the day, I've usually got a pile of data to work with. And lo and behold, on Saturday, I came back with a good 200 images, or 200 captures to work with. And this is the best one I've looked at so far. This is after editing this one, by the way. This isn't straight out of camera. So just throwing some data together. Quite pleased with that one. I did put it on Instagram and Twitter yesterday, I think. Yep. Yes, it was the Monday competitions day, so yes, it went on Twitter and all the Monday comps. So yeah, for all it was a teaching kind of day. I never feel bad that I've come away and I've got a handful of images to play around with. So it means I'm winning in two ways really. But I haven't got, like, if I'd been out all day myself, I probably would have come back with 2,000 shots, not 200. And it would take me about 4 years to go through them all. So as a bit of to finish the evening off, we're only halfway through where we are. So this shot here is Beadnell Harbour specifically. And we started off the day at Bamborough, which is I made this little quick shot from. And then after a very quick lunch, we went to the pastures in Alnwick and grabbed some images of the castle from in front, from just across the Alm. So I was going to look at some of these and just work on a shot of Anik just to see how it comes together in this second half, seeing as the first half was talking mainly about printing. And I might even, at the end of it, prep this coming image, or however it ends up, prep it for print. I'll probably not print it, but I might do the image prep for it. So let's just remind myself what I actually had to work with. I did try to keep it fairly loose, so there's just general shapes here. A lot of fast, far-reaching movement during capture. This first one, just a small amount, a small shake, and these other ones are much wilder in the movement. There's a bit of data there to use, and I think I've actually got these picked out, so I think I will just use these ones I've picked. Obviously picked them for a reason. So I will have to actually clean these ones up again, because it was quite bright. It was a bright and sunny afternoon on Saturday for a change. All the winds died down and the sun can't come out. So with it being sunny, I had to increase the f-stop to probably f10, so it shows off a lot more dust spots on my sensor. So I'll just clean some of these out. Do a couple of basic processing on you. Hi Nero, thank you very much for coming along. And just gonna pull some of that back so I can get the outline of the castle on the horizon there, above the top of the hill. Yeah, lens correction's already done. Clean up the noise, sharpen it a touch. I'm going to bring out more of the shadow down here. I want to try to make this image as kind of a watercolour as possible. I don't want a lot of detail, I want it to be quite loose. Just make sure that it's not overly overblown. Seems to be okay. Let's just look on. Yeah. There's no avoiding it. The image is going to end up being yellow and orangey, so I might as well start it off now. Let's make sure that's all fine. That's good, so I'm just going to sync all them across all the 4 picked images that are behind my head. You see there, the 4 images, just select them all and then sync all settings. Them all done. Bring my head back, and then just going to open these in Photoshop. I'm just going to shut that down and give us a bit more memory to play with. So if you've had any printing disasters out there, well, not disasters, but printing issues out there, then do let us know in chat, or leave your story in a comment below. It's always good to know that it's not just me it happens to. I'm not going to say that I know everything. I know enough to get by, and myself, I do want to actually go on a specific printing workshop, just to nail that knowledge down, just make sure that I am doing things right. But certainly when I'm printing to them, I'm usually pretty happy in the end with my own efforts. When you're selling prints, you don't want to be sending out bog standard or poor standards or stuff that you just know is wrong. You don't want to be sending that out to clients. You want to be sending out stuff that you're proud of. So just make sure if you do as much right as possible, then you're never going to be far away. So right then, I'm going to be doing my usual thing. I'm just going to have a quick look through the blend modes, select all 4 images together, go through blend modes, starting with darken, and just see how these, if there's anything immediately springs up in front of us to start then tweaking and working on the image along a line, then we'll go for that. So we're just going to cycle through. I am quite liking the lighter kind of washed out stuff, but I am not keen on this corner, which might mean that I might need to configure some layers, or possibly even reverse one layer to take out this area. You never know, but we'll come to that later on. There's just too much detail on that. Where is it? Let me cycle to the right thing. No, something like that. I mean, I'm not going to do it, but that ghostly little shape there, blue sky, but yellow foreground. If I could get that yellow up here more, that's a very nice looking watercolour kind of look. Well, that's maybe something for another day. And let's check all these now, they're all good. So I'm thinking lighten, maybe it's just a case of manoeuvring a few layers around. It's all about this top layer. So what I might do is just duplicate that layer. Oops, come here, screen. How am I going to do this? Edit. Transform. Flip. Horizontal. Not the right way around yet. So that's lighten. Maybe just go to soft light. That's not what I was expecting. Kind of. What I want to do maybe is reduce the opacity to about there. Mask out this half of that duplicated layer. So maybe something like that. Yeah. Probably gone the wrong way. Something like that. So it's all very much a kind of a very light, almost like a light wash, as if you were painting it with a watercolor type of thing. So subtle colours. We can obviously colorize this. I think I will give it more of a yellowy cast, even though I do like this area up here. If you can see on the screen, there's detail in the cloud and things like that. You got a nice outline of the castle there up on the banks, and you can just about make out a patch of river here. So we are gonna add some colour. So we're going to create a new layer, as I use it a lot. There's this colour, this foreground colour already set, which is kind of an orangey kind of thing. Paint bucket tool, and just drop that all in one layer. I'm going to go straight down to hue, and at 100% you can, hopefully you can see there's a bit of a change with the hue blend mode. That orange now takes over all remaining colour in the image, so it's giving it a nice colour in these parts down here, which is good. Maybe it's not so good in here, so we'll mask that out. Where's the eraser? Just mask that out up there, just to be sure. There we go. Right, and now I'm going to add in a curves layer. It's quite bright up here, but I'm also wanting to add a bit more yellow, because it is a bit orange. And also, if I go to here, that is at 100%, but it won't take much. Reducing the opacity is you're going to quickly lose that orange down in this area, which I quite like, and this area here. So I'm going to use a curves layer, and on the blue, use that to just add a bit yellow into the sky there. See, that's turned out a lot more yellow. Hopefully you can see, depending on how your monitor's set up, obviously, and how your monitor's configured, and then how YouTube then processes all the screen to fit with their colour space as well. It's a bloody nightmare, this colour malarkey. And then you get people out there that are colourblind, or have issues with certain colours, and so, oh lordy, it's a mess. Right, so I'm quite happy with that. That yellow, so it makes it look like it's a bright sunny day, which it was. And then we're just going to think about this foreground. So I'm going to make another curves layer. I'm just going to drop an S curve on here, and then I'm going to do a graduated mask across it, so it retains that contrasty look down here, but doesn't affect, probably pretty much from this area up. So I'm going to start it about there and end it there. So that's that the right way around? Yes, it is. Right, grand. So that's a decent starting point. You are all alive out there? You're all very quiet in chat. Also, if you're enjoying it, please do leave a thumbs up on the below, that kind of stuff. It all helps. So yeah, just gonna. Oh, that was yeah. Forget about that. Me getting lost in a train of thought again. So we've got a bit of a base of an image there, and now we're going to go into Analog Effects Pro 2. Which is a good chance to vlog you stuff. So that's the wrong advert. Presets that too. So yeah, whilst that loads up, I'll just remind you that my Analog Effects Pro 2 presets are available to purchase, and selling rather well. So thank you very much to everybody that's bought them so far. Thank you, Charlotte. Glad you were fascinated by it. I do think I just kind of flounder around these things. But yes, if you're interested in the presets, then they are available from bit.ly/AEP2presets. Make sure the AEP bit is in capitals, please, to get you there. Or just visit my website, andrewsgray.photography. and there's a link there. So now we're now all loaded up, and now I will go through said presets, just look down the list and see if there's any that are jumping out at me. With it being a lighter image, then there'll not be a lot of shape there to play with, so I'm mainly looking at colour, and then we can think about how shapes interact after that, you know, because it's all done with double, you know, like a double layer, which, you know, intersects with light and dark areas in different ways when you move it around. So this one looks quite nice in a pink kind of way. It looked nice down there, maybe it's not so nice actually on the big screen, so continue to look elsewhere. Maybe something with a bit more detail like this. There's not much of a difference. There's not a great difference there, so maybe it doesn't really lend itself to it. That's what I've just done. As I mentioned to Paul at the weekend on my one-to-one, I can sit here for an hour when I'm not doing live stream, when I'm working on images myself. I can sit here for an hour just sliding sliders back and forward, back and forward, back and forward. So thank you, Charlotte, very kind of you. Still feels weird when people say, I'm studying your work for my degree or A-level or whatever. I think it's just little old me making my own random pictures with no direction whatsoever. The image leads me in the direction of where it goes. I don't. So yeah, let's not do any of them ones. Look at this one. I'm having trouble picking a base point, a starting point. I'm going to have to pick one eventually, and just stick with it. And I think it might have to be this one. So, right, I'm going to stick with this preset, and I'm actually going to do some work on this one. And this being an old preset, it's going to have to alter it a bit. Camera kit, and just add in bits that I usually use. Light leaks can come out. Film tape, that's what I'm after. Right. Now I've got my tools, we can crack on. Okie dokie. So I'm thinking already is this image is going to be a panoramic type. So something, 16 by 9, maybe it's even 2 by 1, or maybe it's my usual 9 by 5. I don't mind at all, Charlotte. You're very welcome to study my work. God knows what you'll actually pull from it. Oh, I've just pressed enter. Oh, damn. That'll come out again. Right. Let's try this again. Try not to catch the keyboard next time, Andy. Right then. Either into work, no. Right, evening fields. is the preset of choice. There we go. The cameras, get me tools, camera kit. Add in that, add in film type, take away light leaks. Right. Back to there, and then we shoot back to where we started before I press the wrong thing. So as I said, I'm thinking wide panoramic. So I'm actually going to not be too concerned about this area down here. You can almost forget it, and work on the light here. Maybe even work on getting this area here a bit lighter, so it's kind of the reflection of it. So it makes it look a little bit more real world than overly abstract. So double exposure. I'm just going to maneuver some of this around. You can see it's very one-sided. There we go. That's better already. That's too light. Basic adjustments. Going to darken this down a touch. Don't need that much contrast. That's actually lightened it too much. Go back to 10% on that. That's better. Lens vignette. Bring that in. So about 15-ish. This area being the the sun behind the castle. Going to leave that so everything else is vignetted. Film type, just going to see what that's like on its standard strengths. Just go through them until something near to what I'm kind of hoping for comes along. I think it's going to be that warm one in there, quite like that. Don't want to go too strong on that though. Or go subtle and go for one of these jobbies. That one, that looks nice. Bang the strength of that up. Doesn't make much difference. Keep the fading out of it so it's retains some strength. Levels and curves. Drop an S curve on it. Right, now to sort out this doubled layer, because obviously this area is fine, but the one problem is you can now see that second layer in the form of the upside down castle down here. So the way to do this is either position it out of shot, which could be out over here, but then it ruins the rest of the image, and you don't want to bring it too far across there. So it is in its kind of ideal position there. It was around about there, wasn't it? So this little circle thing is a zoom and rotation. So that second layer, you can blur it using zoom and rotation. So you spin it around to get your rotation, and you pull it out to get your zoom, and then that is actually blurring out the harsh lines of the castle there. So all these tips and tricks you can pick up. So it's all about doing what you can. You know, if you know loads and loads of stuff about loads and loads of little things about Photoshop. You can add them all together to help you create the image that you that you see in your mind with these things. So I'm quite happy with that. There's not a too big a lump on there to make it definitely the the reflection of the castle there. So I'm actually going to confirm this, and then I'm going to work on the colour in Viveza, which is for this kind of stuff is my preferred place to go. Again, it's part of the Nick collection, and yes, it can be done in Photoshop itself using the saturation layers and that kind of thing, but Viveza, it's all in one tool, so I just find it easier to work with. So, and immediately I'm just want to, the way it is at the minute, some ways it's fine, but I'm also I want it to go a little bit more yellow. There's maybe a little bit too much orange in here, and then certainly it's starting to get mixed up with blues and magentas and reds into this area here, which I'm not sure how we're going to resolve, but we're going to have a go. It's just the way the colours mix, really. Going far too green. So I think we're going to have to do it by channel. So obviously you've got blue, green, red. Negative of blue is yellow. So that looks pretty decent. Just going to check with the greens. Leave them as they are. Red's obviously the opposite. The opposite of that. Don't want to warm it up too much. Add in a bit of structure just so the castle is a bit more apparent. Maybe it makes it look more like a foggy morning kind of look about it. But I'm actually going to leave that at 0, and I'm going to do like a point selection on here. So I'm just going to drop a point on there. This is where I'm going to do the structure. So then it'll only affect this area. It'll not try to add structure into the sky here. It'll basically only be kind of along this kind of line, this area down here, which you can see using this mask. So that's the area it's affecting. That looks fine. Obviously in that you can do other adjustments. Contrast. Contrast is probably good because it makes it stand out a little bit more. But I was looking to do a bit more contrast overall. Don't want to go overboard on the saturation. That's probably saturated enough, because it's really just looking at almost like making a washed out watercolor kind of image. Very loose. Not one of these intricate watercolors where everything's kind of painted in. Just almost washes, just as if you were out there sketching it yourself. So that's again I think I'm looking to do. So just slide that back and forward to see how it is, see if it's good or not. Remember, you can actually, once we go back into Photoshop, again you can mix the two layers together, either using just opacity or a blend mode, just as another option if you're not entirely certain. It's like looking at this unaffected, yeah, I kind of like it, and also like it when it's like this. So maybe that added contrast that I did generally isn't needed, because it kind of, I think it overdid this kind of area. So I think that'll do. I think we'll fire this back into Photoshop. Alright then. Yeah, see, there's quite a difference between 2 images. So there's maybe something we can look at in the blend modes. Maybe it's not. Ooh, now that would be an interesting shot as an alternate. You know, don't be scared of going mad. Try different things. I've done a few images using that kind of blend mode where it just really throws the image out completely from reality, if you can kind of call this kind of stuff reality. So, and I think, to be honest, just a graduated mask. Love me graduated masks. Maybe that's a little bit too blue. Maybe started about there and end about there. That's a bit more subtle. Maybe it's a bit better. Yeah, much better, I think. Hopefully you agree. Yeah, quite happy with that. Right then, so I'll just save that. Whilst that is doing that, where's my screen info board? There we go. Yeah, so whilst that's saving, which will probably take a little while, if you're not following us, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow us on those at Andrew S. Gray. If you would like to contribute on Patreon, you can find me on there, patreon.com/AndrewSGray, and below that is the website address, andrewsgray.photography, and on there you can find details of prints, links to presets, one-to-one sessions and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in any kind of tuition on this kind of side of stuff, then do drop me a line. Like I say, I've got time during the week in through October, but weekends are pretty full. When we go into November, I'm much more available then, if you were interested in coming up to Northumberland for the day. Always, bring the other half. It's always a nice place to stay for the weekend. We can do a days of photography, and you can have a day out exploring with the other half. So always good to visit the north. Right then, so we're back to this. That's all saved out now. So this should go back to Lightroom. Yes, it's in Lightroom. So just confirm that so I can find it. 3. I was going to configure this to print, wasn't I? So, right, it's already in Photoshop. So, up here we have, in the viewpoint, proof colours. I'll switch on gamut warning. So I've got this set for art fiber at the minute, and I could go for well, NST bright white on photo speed paper would be quite nice. I feel like I'm getting a cold, getting very nasally. Yeah, what am I doing? Switching that on and off. So obviously, shouldn't be causing anything. There's no gamut warnings with these. Barita, you can see it darkens down a touch. So it's, each paper has their own, varying behaviours. Art fibre, very small difference from Barita. These are the ones I've only got installed because I haven't done anything there. I haven't done that much printing since I rebuilt the machine. So, but this is the kind of image I would really like to see printed on NST bright white, natural soft texture bright white paper. So I think it would have no issues printing that whatsoever. So when you've done that, obviously, so it's NST bright white roulette. And then I would say convert the profile NSD bright white. Okay, that would convert. It would flatten everything as well. Save that into a location, then it's ready to print. But like I say, I'm not going to print it tonight. No. And just for laughs, I'm going to load up this red one, which I was very scared of. Bring my screen back up. This one, and let's have a look at how soft proofing on this creates an issue. Straight away, you can see how washed out it'll become on paper, and this is a matte paper. Switch on gamut warning, and look at the bloody state of that. How the hell do you meant to print that? So obviously a matte paper is not going to work, and I'm just going to go to art fiber, and look, art fiber will actually handle it. You know, it's still obviously going to lose something in the conversion to a paper, even a fairly glossy one. So yeah, one of them images is always going to look better on a screen. So that's why I'm kind of scared about printing that one. So yeah, I think, yeah, see, you know, the burrito is going to have issues with the gamut on it. So not good, really. Even in, yeah, not going to be an easy one to print. And results like this is why I want to go on a print workshop and learn how to deal with this kind of issue, and be able to get these issues sorted, and be able to get out, you know, get the final result out of the file, and you know, make it available, obviously, because we all want to try to sell stuff. So there you go. I thought that would be an entertaining one for you to see, and just see how far out these things can be. So printing is a bloody nightmare at times, as we found out today. So I think that will probably round up tonight. Before my nose blocks completely, for some reason it's just come on. Thank you all very much for coming along. Hopefully you've learned something about the printing process in the first half, and hopefully you've appreciated and enjoyed seeing that final image come together. I'm quite pleased with it myself, so I think that'll probably be bunged on Twitter and Instagram and stuff later on, or in the next few days. And you never know, you might see a print of it come about at some stage down the road. You never know, it might even come out in the exhibition next year. I doubt it though, but you never know. Hopefully we'll have better things by then. So thank you again for coming along. Please do leave a thumbs up if you've enjoyed the episode. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below and I'll do my best to answer them. And yeah, just remember to follow us everywhere. Do subscribe if you're not already. I keep on forgetting to say that. And yeah, thank you again. Keep wiggling out there. Give your camera a shake at every opportunity, and you never know, you can make images like this. So thank you again. Until next week, see ya.